your imaginations. I was born Hedwig Eva Maria Kiesler in Vienna, my beloved Vienna. My father was a banker, and my mother was a pianist. And you are?
Esther.
Hello, Esther. May I see your phone, please? You were so good, you put it away as was asked. Here, give me that first. Oh, very nice. Yes. Do you know if it weren't for me, you wouldn't have such a thing? Now put it away. But you probably know me best from my movies, eh? Ziegfeld Girls with Jimmy Stewart.
Lana Turner.
Yes. Judy Garland, yeah. That was one where one of the characters said, she looks better wrapped than the others do unwrapped. Silly, yes. But I loved it. Who saw me in Comrade X with Clark Gable? You coming in there, Comrade X, Clark Gable. Anyone? No one saw this movie. Well, I did. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I married him. No. Oh, you're such a rogue. Not only in the movie. And you, sir, what is your name? James. Hello, James. Though you may know me from my movies, my greatest achievement was scientific. Yes? You know the cell phone I told Esther to put it very good, put away. All your cell phones that are so verboten in the theater, I invented them. Yeah? Well, at least the thing that makes them work. All your phones. Well, my concept, mine and George Anthiel's invention, is called frequency hopping spread spectrum. Also, frequency hopping spread spectrum. This is what makes your phones work. Just think, without me, you couldn't call that boy you're obsessed with, that girl you're in love with, and you couldn't even call your lawyer. But you know, we created this thing to be used against Hitler and the Nazis. That's why we invented it. You see, I am a Jew, but no. The government rejected it. They were blind to its enormous potential. You know, I never saw a dime for this invention. I was only honored 4 decades later with some scientific awards and medals. Ever try eating those? I was 82 and living on Social Security. Oh. In happier times, with good luck and my Hollywood connections, I met my scientific partner, George Anthiel. Oh, brilliant. They called him the bad boy of music. Too avant-garde for those whose ears and minds were too closed to listen. I was good friends with Adrian. He was the costume designer for Greta Garbo, and Joan Crawford, and Jean Harlow. He was married to Janet Gaynor at the time, and they used to have the most fabulous parties. Well, that's where I met George. Unfortunately, Louella Parsons was there as well. I'd been ducking her for ages. She and Hedda were the heroines of Hollywood. Each of them hating each other and feeding off the carcasses of the great talents they had broken with the kind of salacious scandals that were for the most part be laughable today. Oh, Louella could look you in the eye and cut you in half. Hedda could stab you in the back and wish you a nice day while you stood there reading. It was Hedda who followed Ingrid Bergman to Italy to expose the love child she had with Roberto Rossellini. Murdered her career in Hollywood for ages. Well, my tendency to be blunt and frank could get me in a lot of trouble around those two, so, well, I just avoided that. Well, hello.
Hello.
If it isn't the elusive Miss Hedy Lamarr, you know I have been trying to get an interview with you.
Oh, well, nice to meet you, too. No, I didn't know that. I'm shocked my native never told me.
Oh, yes, the shock is written all over that pretty little face of yours. How about tomorrow? I would hate to report that you have been trying to avoid me. Now, why would that be?
I can make tomorrow work.
Oh, isn't that wonderful?
We can talk about my inventions.
Of course we can, dear.
Do you know, I'm always inventing something. A traffic light, a fluorescent dog crawler, a tablet when dissolved in water creates Coca-Cola, an airplane with Howard Hughes. I was inspired by the fastest fish and the fastest bird, and I combined them and gave the wing plan to Howard. He's using it in his new airplane design.
Really?
Yes. Oh, and I have a torpedo idea that can't be drowned.
I look forward to hearing more about your torpedo idea tomorrow. What a departure from the usual Hollywood fare. My readers will hang on every word. 2 p.m. Now, I must mingle, or Mr. Hurst will have my head. Besides, I can see that you and George would like to talk.
Here, drink this. Good for a snake bite.
Thank you. Oh, well, if it isn't the famous George Anthiel, I've heard so much about you. Très bon composer, concerts in Paris, London, New York, but also an expert in endocrinology, huh?
Quite correct.
Well, is it not true that J. Edgar Hoover invited you to Washington to discuss the endocrinology of the Access leaders?
Correct again.
Well, I need your help.
I'm at your service.
My boss at MGM, Louis B. Mayer, is obsessed with my breast size. He keeps 33B, however. Same as Venus de Milo. Well, not to him. He keeps bellowing at me. Bigger, they must be bigger.
Oh, well, that could be accomplished. May I?
Oh.
Yes, just as I suspected. You are a thymocentric of the anterior pituitary variety. With glandular extract injections, they can become larger, but I see no reason.
But you give Mr. Mayer hope. After I left the party, I grabbed my lipstick and I wrote my number on George's windshield. He called me the very next day, and we had dinner that very night at my place. Good evening, George.
Good evening, lovely one. I must tell you, my eyes sizzled when I met you last night.
Oh, maybe this will help.
More than you know. But you must tell me, what are all these technical journals and chalkboards doing among Picasso's?
I'm an inventor. I told Louella as much, but I don't think she believed me or cared. The woman's obsessed with sex.
Well, I believe you, and I care. Beauty and brains, the most intoxicating combination. Though well-placed sex is always welcome. About the war I haven't expressed with anyone but you. My brother was killed on an airplane shot down by the Germans. I shut down. My music deserted me. I worked as an ammunitions inspector for the U.S. Armory, but now my job is breaking the German code.
Now may I tell you about a sweet torpedo that can't be jammed?
Well, of course, lovely. Perhaps we can help win this war together.
Oh, George, you're going to be the most wonderful partner. We have so much in common. Munitions, a war, and we both hate the Nazis.
You must tell me, Harry, whatever made you become interested in torpedo design?
It was through my first husband, Fritz Mandl, the Germans' largest munitions supplier. Through him I learned all about munitions and secret weapons and the trouble the Germans are having controlling the trajectory of their torpedoes. I overheard conversations in my husband's factory about a new remote control torpedo. None of the engineers thought that Fritz's pretty little wife could understand a word they were saying, or cared. Oh, how I care. My outrage over these torpedoes began when I heard about the death of 100 children aboard a ship sailing from London to Canada. It was torpedoed by a German submarine. A massacre. Crying over the spilled blood would do nothing, so I became determined to develop a system that would have controlled the direction of that torpedo and saved those poor children's lives. I wanted to quit MGM and offer my services to Franklin D. Roosevelt's Inventors Council, but no one took me seriously.
Well, I take you seriously. Let's get started on your idea right away.
We started working on a system of transmitter-receiver frequency synchronization, also wireless communication. We wanted the Allies to have a torpedo that couldn't be jammed, and at the same time interrupt or alter the German radio signals. George made my concept technically possible.
Let's see, to coordinate the transmission and reception of a remote controlling radio signal between a ship or an airplane and a moving torpedo, the frequency of the transmitter must be synchronized with the frequency of the receiver on the torpedo. I can accomplish this by adapting the system I used to synchronize 4-player pianos during my Carnegie Hall concert in 1927.
Yes, the transmitter and the receiver will hop from frequency to frequency, and in this way we can interrupt or avoid the German radio signals.
Exactly. Did you know that Nikola Tesla was experimenting with remote control in 1898?
I bet no one took him seriously either.
Just another misunderstood genius.
Oh. Yes, now how can we synchronize these hopping frequencies?
Well, we'll base the system on 88 shifting frequencies, which we can shift by using perforated ribbons with predetermined instructions, much like those used to activate the keys on player pianos. The ribbon on the transmitter will match the ribbon on the receiver on the torpedo. We'll submit to the U.S. Patent Office and to the National Council on Inventors.
Yes, and we'll call it Frequency Hopping Secret Communication System. And we did. We had blueprints, diagrams, instructions, explanations. There were 110,000 ideas submitted that year. We got the patent in 1941, number 2,292,387. The name I used on the patent was Hedy Lamarr, my second married name. And had I used the name Hedy Lamarr, they might have found me and notified me that the patent was expiring, and I would have renewed it, and I would have been a millionaire.
It wasn't long before Hedda and I got the bad news. The Navy rejected our invention. They thought that the ribbons of player pianos would be too bulky.
George, why couldn't they understand it was just a concept, like the first draft of a play?
I'm just as terribly disappointed as you.
Oh, George, I never wanted anything so much in my life.
Japan bombs Pearl Harbor. Darling, now everyone's in the war.
Oh, please let it not go on too long. Please, heaven, let us win.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live
fascination with American culture as well. There was a shop down the street from me where I would go every day looking for American music. Ain't she sweet? She's walking down the street. When I ask you very confidentially, ain't she sweet? I love American music, American movies, and American movie stars. Gloria Swanson was my favorite. I wanted to be a star too. I had a little stage under my father's desk where I used to act out roles, talking to myself and do my little Dolbecker scene. And then one day I was walking home from school and I passed a film studio. So I thought, I'm gonna go right in there and get a job. I marched right in and I said, I want to act. Well, they made me a script girl, but it was a start, you know. So I quit school and I started my career. As a result, I could never write or spell very well, especially in English. So when I got to Hollywood, Mr. Mayor made sure I had English lessons, which is why I can talk to you all so well tonight. But I kept my accent. That's how I bring my home with me. Now, entre nous, sex has always been very important to me. So I married it. 6 times. Let's see. Fritz Mandl, Jean Marquet, John Loder, Teddy Stoffer, Howard Lee, and, yes, Louis W. Boise. And I have 3 beautiful children, Denise, Anthony, and James. I adopted James. He was my first. I got married in between movies, or maybe it was the other way around. I made movies in between getting married. I don't know. Always I was getting married. And always I was inventing something. But fame came to me through my movies. Listening on an interview with Hedda Hopper. Oh, she was even scarier than Louella. Every Hollywood star knew you had to keep these 2 ladies happy, or kaboom, there went your career somewhere in the crossfire between them. To the soon-to-be famous Otto Preminger. Oh, I would have loved to have played Laura. I could have made Dana Andrews swoon.
I don't doubt it. You collected men like Betty Davis collected Oscars.
Advise and Consent, brilliant. Anatomy of a Murder. They talked about rape and used the word panties. Shocking, no? I mean, Otto could be a bit of a beast, but what a great director he would become.
Well, just how beastly was he to you, Hedy?
Not enough for any kind of scoop, Hedda. Well, Otto was assisting Max Reinhardt at the time, so he told Max about me, and I told Max I wanted to act, and so he cast me in 2 plays. Other roles followed, and then came my film Ecstasy.
The infamous Ecstasy, yes. You were lucky the sex obscured the blatant communism in that film.
The Russians were our allies at the time, Hedda.
So were Hitler and Stalin allies once.
Please, can you let it go? Well, let me tell you, I paid for that nude swim in the lake. That role followed me everywhere. Do you know the director had someone stick a pin in me while he filmed my face during the sex scenes? What does that have to say about orgasm?
Depends on which side of the sword you're on.
Well, it was condemned by Pope Pius XI as he called it indecent.
And so it was.
My parents walked out on it. I thought I would never act again.
Yet, here you sit. A star, being interviewed, well, by me.
Well, eventually the commotion and notoriety exile caused in Europe and America helped me Hollywood. Fame could not be denied.
Yes, well, the wages of sin in Hollywood run to at least 6 figures. Unless, of course, you do something utterly unspeakable, and I find out about it.
Then I did one more play before I left Berlin. It was called Sissy, about the Queen of Austria. This play was to transform my life.
Oh, it couldn't have been that good. They would have ruined it by making a movie out of it. And I would have known about that and said so.
Not a play, I don't know. A man who saw the play, or rather saw me in it. Fritz Mandl, the 3rd richest man in Austria.
Yes. Hitler's pet Jew, the millionaire munitions maker.
Henry Ford sold Hitler his trucks.
Touché, my dear.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to defend Fritz, but I was just a child inside when I met him. I knew so little. He pursued me with flowers and gifts, and he even called upon my parents. He pursued me relentlessly.
I have spoken to your parents, and they have given me permission to court you. First, we shall go to my chateau in the Swiss Alps, then on to Vienna, where there will be a reception at the Schönberg Palace, then to the Riviera to rest, and on to my hunting lodge. How do you like it, my dear Hedy?
It's so cute!
Oh, thank you. And these are my dogs. How do you like them?
There's so many!
I have 17 dogs. Thank you. Now, let me introduce you to my staff. Hedda is my chief chef. She has a staff under her. And these are my 4 butlers, and my upstairs maid, and my downstairs maid, and my gardener.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Enough, Hedy. They are my servants.
Fritz, I'm overwhelmed.
I love you deeply. We shall be married forever. Our own forever.
He gave me an 11-carat diamond ring.
Oh,
I said yes.
a rock like that could turn any woman's head.
It is a nice ring, no?
Yes, but were you in love? 11 carats worth? At all?
I wore a black and white print dress when I married him, and I carried white orchids. We lived in castles. We had 5 homes filled with servants. We had lavish dinner parties with golden dinner plates, exclusive life. We had homes in Vienna, the Riviera, the Alps. We entertained the Prince of Bavaria, Prince of Denmark, of Greece, Sigmund Freud, Mussolini, and Hitler. Soon after we were married, Fritz insisted on seeing ecstasy. He watched the nude scenes over and over again, and then he yelled to his underlings,
Get me that negative, and buy up all the prints in existence. I don't care what you have to pay. I'm going to burn them all. Hey, I forbid you to act in plays or movies or to display yourself in such a way anywhere.
What a beastly thing to do. Weren't you frightened?
of course. He made me feel like a prisoner. Then, one night at one of our dinner parties, I stole a few moments alone with the Colonel Richter in the garden.
Ah, how lovely you look. Your scent, even more beautiful than that of the gardenia.
Colonel, I'm desperate. You must help me. Fritz has stolen my freedom. He keeps me caged like one of his dogs. No, he treats me worse than his dogs. You must help me escape.
How can I resist a lady in distress, especially such an exquisite one?
We hatched a hasty plan that would assure my escape. But that very night, after all the guests had left, Fritz came into my bedroom.
Hey, I wish to play for you this recording.
He played for me the recording of the conversation I had with Richter.
Colonel Richter is on my payroll. I'm sorry, my dear, but it seems that all your charms just didn't add up to the years of lucrative kickbacks still to come from me to Richter. And besides, couldn't you tell he is immune to your femininity?
Well, I was shocked that he was betrayed at me, but I was not to be stopped. We had a blowout argument.
Why would you want to leave me?
Are you mad? Hitler is a mass murderer. He is killing Austrians and Jews. I am Jewish. You are Jewish. How can you help him slaughter Jews?
Hitler has made me an honorarian. Mine is the largest factory in Austria. It's just business.
Just business. Honorary Erik. This is no honor I want any part of. I want a divorce.
Nein, du bist meine Frau. Nein.
Well, luckily, Fritz had to travel a lot, so when he was away, I made my escape. I had mailed money and jewels to a friend in Paris, and I put sleeping pills in my maid's coffee. Then I put on her uniform, and I snuck out to the servants' exit. I had her keys, so I took her car and I drove her to the nearest train station, and I took the train to France, then Paris, then London, and New York and California. When I got to London, I finally got my divorce from Fritz. No alimony, no claim to his vast, filthy fortune.
Did you know anyone in London?
No, soon I met a man, naturally. He was to be my agent, Bob Ritchie. He's the one who introduced me to Louis Lamarr. First, may I chime in about ecstasy?
We don't make movies like that in Hollywood. We make clean movies.
That's because of Mr. Hayes and his Hayes Code.
Clever girl.
I will pay you $125 a week. Come to America. I will make you a big star.
No, I refuse it. That contract is a cheat.
Young lady, do you know what you are turning down? Do you know that you are turning down the most important movie maker in America, in the world? No one does that.
You got guts, Hedy.
Maybe so, but after we left, Bob railed at me. He called me an idiot, a foolish girl. So I thought about it and I told him I would go back. But Mayer had already left the hotel and was sailing on Normandy the very next day. So we devised a plan to get us on that ship. I was to go as a nanny to one of the musicians that Bob represented. Once on board, I became the center of attention. Men followed me everywhere. Mr. Mayer saw me.
What did he say? I know Louis, and he does not give second chances.
You there, young lady. Stop, come here. You actresses, you all need fathers. Because you are so lovely, I reinstate my offer. You may become an MGM player at $500 a week. Come to my office. We will find you a new name.
$500 a week? I've got to hand it to you, Hedy.
When I got to Hollywood, I signed the deal, and he dubbed me Hedy Lamarr. Once on American soil, I felt like a conqueror. Truth be told, I was a fleeing immigrant. But amongst so many other brilliant refugees, Fritz Lang, Billy Wilder,
Peter Lorre, Paul Henry,
and on and on and on. Artists, filmmakers, scientists, all transplanted where we felt we could grow and keep creating and remain alive.
So, you're a patriot, Hedy?
Could you doubt it? Do you know how hard I worked selling war bombs? I loved it. And I got to travel all around the country with so many of the other MGM stars.
Now, why don't you tell me about your first film in Hollywood, Algiers?
Oh, yes. I played Gobi, a romantic figure set against an exotic North African background. It was with the also sexy, also French Charles Boyer.
You know, that turban you wore as Gabby in Algiers started a trend?
Oh, yes, it was quite the rage, huh? We experimented with so many headdresses that finally I just took some white cloth and twisted it around my head, and voila, the turban.
Oh my. What the famous can do for commercial fashion. You're one of the influencers. Gable loses a t-shirt and it happened one night, and suddenly Van Heusen loses millions of dollars in the t-shirt market tanks. Veronica Lake invents the peekaboo hairdo, and a million of American women go half blind imitating her. Hedy dons a turban, and suddenly we are all sheep.
Well, that's what happens when you lovely people at the press call me red hot. Everyone on that set was so patient with me, especially Charles. You see, I had difficulty with the transition from stage to screen. On stage, you have to do so much more to communicate with the audience, Look, on stage, I'm private. On film. But I don't study, so I learned fast.
Oh, suddenly, every man in America was Pepe Loco, using that pickup line. Take me to the Casbah.
Was it you that called me the dream girl of Indian men?
No, I believe that was that cow, Louella.
Yeah, yes. When next day was cast in New York Cinderella with Spencer Tracy, you can go ahead and print that Mr. Tracy didn't like me.
Oh, don't worry, I shall.
You can ask him about it.
I shall do that. I shall. Thank you.
Well,
Who saved you?
yes, thank you, girl in the front row. I'll tell you who saved me. It was Louis B. Mayer who saved me. For Tracy's coldness, he would come to the set every day to protect me and supervise the action and made sure that Spencer stayed civil to me. He'd become quite fatherly towards me.
Don't throw all of yourself into movie making, Hedy. Have yourself a real life with a real home and children, and you will be a better actress for it. But whatever you do, don't tell anyone you're Jewish.
He would even make me chicken soup when I had a cold.
Tell me about your second husband.
Jean Marquet, a writer. We only knew each other 4 weeks, and then we eloped to Mexico.
Oh, what a whirlwind. What went wrong?
So many things. We squeezed our marriage in between our movies. Well, I should say his movies and my movies. not ours.
You know, they asked me to write a script for you. I told them you were too beautiful. And I told them you're not in my dreams. I dream of earthy people with old clothes and dirty faces.
Well, this was the first sign of trouble. Not only was I not in his dreams, he couldn't see past my beauty to the actors inside of me. Put me in old clothes, age me, give me a babushka instead of a turban, see what I can do. But believe me, we tried. I even learned how to cook. Breakfast, at least. We bought a Great Dane, and we even adopted a son, James. I loved being a mother.
What was the final break?
Well, Gene was so much more dedicated to his work than to the children and his mother. Cliché of a mother-in-law, domineering, interfering. But Hedda, I can't claim to be blameless. You know he'd been married before.
Oh, of course. To Joan Bennett, another dark-haired beauty and a fine actress. Don't you agree?
Oh, yes, yes. But it wasn't Joan. It was their daughter, Melinda. You see, whenever Jean was not spending time with James and I would get jealous and keep him from seeing Melinda. I know how horrid that is now, but anyway, it broke the marriage. But at least I got to keep James. That brought me great happiness.
And through it all, you kept acting.
Good, I never stopped. May I tell you something on Toronto? When they were casting Gone with the Wind, the role of Scarlett O'Hara, and every Hollywood actress was catfighting for that role, and they were screen testing everyone and anyone you can't imagine. They sent me the script, and I thought I could not see myself as a Southern belle with my accent. As God is my witness, I shall never go hungry again. Can you just picture?
Honestly, I have to admit I can't.
But you know, I did get another shot at that time. Across Clark Gable in Boomtown. I knew I was right for the female lead, and I fought for it, and I got it. And I was so good in that movie. You know that movie made Mayor $4.5 million? And then, real literature. John Steinbeck's Tortilla Flat with John Garfield. Now, Hedda, I know I could never trust Louella with this. Can we go off the record? I know I can trust you.
It goes without saying that you...
John and I, two Jews in one field. Use your imagination. Now double it. I don't know why I didn't marry Erik.
Oh, I don't know either. You married everyone else. What about Robert Young and Ancient Woman?
He only wanted the girl I told Bono.
Oh, so the rumors are true.
Oh, no, please. Let's change the subject from my movies back to life. Traveling and playing, I love them. Let's see, the Riviera with Bill Paley. Ascot with Sir Anthony Eden. Never was a man more aptly named. A date with John F. Kennedy. I was friends with Jack's parents, so they got my number. He called me when he was in Paris. Well, I told him I would go to dinner with him if he brought me oranges. Well, he showed up with dozens and dozens of oranges. So many oranges that he spent all his money and he couldn't take me to dinner. So I lent him the money and we went out to dinner and then we stayed. I didn't mind a bit. Charlie Chaplin. Charlie and I were always buddies. I was was sophisticated and in my 20s. Not his type of lover at all. We would play charades and laugh and laugh. I made Charlie Chaplin laugh.
Rather read, Mr. Charlie Chaplin, being persona non grata in the United States, in part thanks to me. I think it best you just skip ahead to your help with the boy.
I loved Charlie.
Excuse me?
Yes, well, as I said before, I was one of the stars who raised over 25 million in war bonds. They started in 1895 and went to 1,000 with a 10% dividend when the book matured. I loved giving speeches. I called myself a gold digger for Uncle Sam. Well, I toured for a while with this, and then Betty Davis, who was a president of the Hollywood canteen, asked me to help out with the boys. Now, I used to love to kiss them before they went off to war. And sometimes I would dance with them on the floor of the canteen. But it caused such a commotion that they banished me to the kitchen. But of course I couldn't cook anything but breakfast, but there was one thing I could do, and that was wash dishes. So I was assigned that detail. This is how I met my third husband, John Loda. I was washing, and Betty Davis walked up and said, "Here, let John dry." Oh, he wore a tweed suit and a pipe stuck out of his pocket, and he had a dish towel over his arm. I had just found out he had been knighted, Sir John Loda. How romantic. I could be a lady or a dame or some such thing. Hello, I'm Hedda.
Yes, I know. Why do you think I volunteered to wash and dry dishes?
He was born in England. Went to eat. Do you know he was a second lieutenant in the war? He was captured by the Germans and he escaped. Well, we were married in 1943 and we had 2 beautiful children. First Denise and Anthony came later. Betty was Denise's godmother. Well, after all, she had introduced us. You know, I think it was Betty's strength and her many studio battles that gave me the courage to walk into Mr. Mayer's office. Hello. I have a new baby. So I can't do so many movies, and the ones I do, I want to be quality. So I would like a release from my exclusive contract so I can freelance whenever I want.
What?
Mayor must have exploded.
Like July 4th in New York City, but not nearly so pretty. He did turn a lovely shade of a maiden red, though.
What? I should let her go freelance. She's a pixie nothing in Austria. Me, I discovered her. I promoted her. I made her a star, and now she wants to break free and cash in. Oh.
Louis, I'm right here.
Yes, I see you there. What kind of schmuck do you think I am?
The kind who's always been like a father to me. The kind who told me to be more than just a shadow on a screen. You wanted me to have a family. I listened. And now I just need time and money to take care of it.
You used my own words against me. All right, my darling. My Shayna Mandl. You make me 3 more pictures in the next 5 years, and I'll give you $100,000.
Yes, impressive.
Yes, John and I were having problems. He kept insisting that he wasn't putting enough money into the family. I didn't care about that. I just wanted a father who would be there for our children and for all of us. But he kept taking engagements in New York and in radio and stage. He was hardly ever there. Then one night, I just walked into the study and said, I'm pregnant.
Again?
And I want a divorce.
Oh, well, 2 exclusives and what now?
He stole my line.
You don't have to give me child support or alimony. I can take care of all of that.
Hedy, you know, you can be hell on a man's ego.
You can go there. Back to New York, John. Was that? And husband number 3. That's easy.
Really?
Oh, there.
Why don't you tell me about Samson and Delilah? You really burned up the screen in that one.
That's easy. Cecil B. DeMille had a list of Hollywood actresses he was considering for Delilah. But it was my name he had circled in red. Hedy Lamarr. Wait, he had put Claudette Colbert in that gorgeous bath in Cleopatra. What would he surround me with as Delilah? I was fascinated with this part. Her beauty, who was she beyond that beauty, her tempestuousness, her love, her greed, her anger, her vulnerabilities. I was so excited by the acting challenges. You want to know what DeMille said to me? You take tits, muscles, and sadism in Technicolor, and you get a box office hit. I'll give you a shirtless Victor Matura, and you'll be the world's most sensational barber.
That sounds just like DeMille.
That movie cost over $3 million to make. We worked on it from 1946 to 1948. The first day, Edith Head came in and gave me the most drab outfit to wear. Ugh, so I complained. And after DeMille saw the Russians, he agreed, so I got the color I wanted. Red.
Oh.
After all, I was a seductress. Well, the Hayes Code was watching us, so we had to be careful about showing my navel. So we put a pearl in it, and it passed. DeMille wanted something memorable for the final scene, so he put me in a cape made of feathers.
Just like Theda Barrow wore in 1917.
Yes, only it was to be made of peacock feathers. This proved to be a very difficult pursuit. We had to wait till the molting season, and DeMille just happened to have 60 peacocks on his ranch. The staff collected over 2,000 peacock feathers just for that coat.
So, you thought of the red dress. DeMille designed the cape of peacock feathers.
Yes.
And Edith Head won the costume award that year. The film went on to win 4 other Academy Awards that year.
None for me and Victor.
But it was the highest grossing film in the 1950s.
Yes, and I was making a lot of money and having a lot of fun. My art collection was growing and I was traveling all over the world.
Enviable.
Yes, it was. I mean, how wonderful it all seemed, and it was. I was always in great emotion and pain just beneath the surface, and I needed to find out what it was, so I started seeing a psychoanalyst at the time. I leaned on him very heavily, but he was very patient with me and able to bring things out into the open.
Well, Hedy, can you talk to me?
No, I can't. He got me to speak of things I'd never spoken of before. When I was 14, I was physically and sexually assaulted by a workman. I never told a soul. I blamed the bruises on a bicycle accident. I sort of regressed in his office and had the rainstorm of a cry. I finally let go of that ridiculous guilt I'd carried, as if I'd had anything to do with it. I suppose every single one of you has. and deserves one magnificent cry for something that caused you terrible hurt, and it was never your fault. Am I right? But in the 1950s, I was tired of movie making, tired of everything. So I took my children and we went to Mexico. That's where I met Hedy Lamarr. He was tall and handsome and blonde. He was a famous European band leader. But his crowning achievement was Acapulco. He took a small fishing village and turned it into a major international resort. You know, they called him Mr. Acapulco. I couldn't help but be attracted to him. I thought the romance would last forever. And then we got married.
I think I sense a pattern here.
Well, I sold many of my belongings and I wanted a new life, you know. So I took my children and we moved to Acapulco. The children didn't know Spanish, so they felt so lost. Soon so did I. I became bored with the endless sunshine and socializing. So we were just all so miserable. So I packed us up and moved us right back to California. I didn't ask for alimony there either.
Then I read in dear Louella's column that you were determined to make a film of your own, produce a film of your own. Did that witch bitch get it right?
She did. I was to go to Houston to make a USO appearance. And while I was there, I got the idea of starting my own production company. Analysis had given me such insight into my emotions that I had sort of a newfound self-esteem. So in that interview, I let it be known that I wanted money and scripts.
Oh. Well, scripts are easy. I trip over script writers all the time. You should have stipulated good scripts. As for money, you just want
Houston is a money town. There with the fabulously wealthy Mr. Howard Lee. We had dinner.
I saw the uncut version of Ecstasy with your naked bottom swimming across the screen. I reckon you would be unattainable, but I swore I'd have you one day.
It opened so many doors, but it created so many misimpressions that
Well, you're living up to my impressions right now, sugar. We have what we call here a kind of consultant. We'll put up a collateral for your project and finance it, and you can call all the shots.
Oh. Well, they Howard really put $200,000 into the film, but so did I. But I didn't do wrong to make my film. It was called Femimina. It was about a woman in love with love. You see, she uses a man as a symbol. She makes of him her own creation, but she cannot see him for who he really is. Rome was cold. Paradise, that seems. That it needed rewrites, but half the writers were in Paris on another film. I couldn't get any respect from the crew. Our supporting actor broke his leg. I wore 3 sweaters and still I got a cold. So I told the cast I was going back to New York to get more money for the film. I met Howard Lee there. There would be no more money for my film.
Oh, honey, you got tears in your eyes. Well, forget the damn movie and marry me.
Lee was a mass of contradictions. He wore garish, loud clothing, and he drank a lot. Well, I had my children to raise and no money coming in, so I convinced myself to love him, and I intended to make him happy.
Oh dear, I quite understand. Necessity can be the mother of intention. I'm a mother myself.
the Houston Society. Like Mr. Lee's, they were all swimming in oil money. Each one of them a millionaire 40 times over. It's like living in the bedroom of Fort Knox. Tacky and sterile. I begged Howard to take me to Vienna. Oh, my beloved Vienna. And she did. We walked and ate schnitzel. Howard, you own so many hotels. Why not a ski lodge? We both love to ski.
Oh, smart hooky. I know undeveloped spot in Colorado I can pick up for a song. I'll call it Hedy Lamarr after you, sugar. You'll coin money.
The children loved him. They called him Dad. His family was cold to me because I wasn't a rich Texan. I started to make movies again. I needed to do that.
Y'all are spending far too much money on carpets and draperies and such. Now you want a swimming pool? What's this? $15,000 for an interior designer?
He could go on like that ad nauseam. But believe me, I did try to make things better between us. I taught him to play chess and to appreciate art. But Howard Lee was not a happy man.
And you?
I hated the way he dressed. And he became obsessively jealous of every man I met and worked with. Things were not good between us. And then something terrible happened. Something I could never get past.
Tell me about it.
My son Anthony's been in a terrible car accident. He was hit while on his bicycle. His whole body was covered in blood. We didn't know if he would live. For days I stayed in the hospital while they argued between life and death. Oh, I railed at Howard for not looking after Anthony. Oh, I blamed him for everything.
You were feeling guilty.
Responsible.
You were projecting.
After Anthony was better, Howard and I were like strangers. He didn't want to live with me anymore, so I divorced him. Money was low, debt was threatening. Those incompetent, crooked divorce lawyers wanted $25,000 from me. And Howard got the ski lodge, the lodge named after me, designed by me. And then he married Jean Tierney, another once unattainable fading star. The 1950s were very unkind to me.
What happened then?
Louis B. Mayer died October 19th, 1957.
Kidney failure, wasn't it? Leukemia?
Yes.
Oh, Hollywood gave him such a grand funeral. We really laid it on.
And then?
George. I lost George Anthiel. Dead.
Well, how did that make you feel?
How in God's name do you think it made me feel? Why don't you tell me how it made me feel, Doctor? Who's paying who around here? What year is this? Who are you people? What do you want from me? Get out of here! I want to talk to these people.
You're just tired, that's all. Tired. We'll finish this another time. It doesn't do to insult the press. Ever!
Well, all right, Hedy, you were just acting out. You know I'll be back. You'll need me again, and soon.
How did it make me feel? My dream was shattered. I felt without George, our invention was lost, and that frequency hopping would be gone forever. So I sold the last of my art collection, and I hit the talk show variety circuit. Merv Griffin, Mike Douglas, Perry Como, Steve Allen. And I fired those divorce lawyers. And someone recommended I hire Louis W. Boise. I did. And then he pursued me romantically with flowers and dinners.
I think I sense a pattern here.
Yes, and so do I.
Enter husband number 6. Louis W. Boise told me I would never have to worry about money again. He was a smooth-talking charmer who lost his charm when drunk. And he was drunk most of the time. Louis promised to take care of me and the children, but all his talk of that was just talk. In actuality, he was in debt, and actually married me for my money. Well, as a husband and a lawyer, he was worse than useless. We divorced. No alimony there, of course.
Something else was happening at this time, Hedy. Something you're not telling them. You're holding back.
Yes, the whole world knows about that. I don't want to talk to them about now.
Well, you can talk to me.
Right. My shoplifting arrest. Horrifying. Those awful pictures everywhere. All those hideous, unflattering photos everywhere.
Why do you think you were...
It was just a mistake.
Was it?
I don't...
You do know.
Fear, resentment, fear I could be destitute, fear of my children going without, resentment that I felt my life as an actress and the inventor was over, feeling helpless and unwanted, wanting to grab onto something. Or maybe I just forgot to pay. Well, thank God I was acquitted. But then I did something truly idiotic.
Which was?
That book, Ecstasy in Me, My Life as a Woman. Only it wasn't my life. I paid these awful ghostwriters to write it for me, and they filled the book with scurrilous lies. Lies, lies! I knew it would ruin my career in Hollywood. I became a disgrace.
Why did you approve the manuscript?
80,000 reasons why, Doctor. You want your fee, don't you?
That's true.
The book sold like hotcakes. I was ruined. 80,000 was nothing compared to what the publisher made for that. I tried to sue the publisher with the lies in the book, but I lost. It was after the fact.
Yes, Hedy, you can't eat the steak and then send it back claiming it was too tough, no matter how hungry you were.
Tough is right. Nobody wanted to make a movie with me anymore. I was being evicted from my home. My debt was mounting. Hollywood had given up on me, so I gave up on it. And I moved to New York City. I was living in the Blackstone Hotel on 57th Street. Money troubles had followed me. I was forever heartbroken after the death of George. I kept having nightmares about a lost invention. I had cataracts and I was going blind. It was like a London fog that never stopped.
Take a breath.
And I sued that awful divorce lawyer who wouldn't get paid, that psychiatrist who released tapes without me knowing.
Oh, I think we shall pursue this at another time.
Lawyers and psychiatrists, that's our life. Oh. Well, darlings, there were no more movies, no more millionaires. And in 1976, catastrophe. had a facelift that went all wrong. I was left disfigured. I didn't want to be seen, so I went into seclusion. But isn't that what happens to all of us so-called glamour girls sooner or later? Hedda most famously wanted to be left alone. Marlena became a recluse. Marilyn died, or was murdered, if you believe the rumors as I do, knowing the world as I do. Permanent seclusion. Brigitte Bardot tried killing herself over and over again. But we are all so much more than a face and a body. Look at me. Look at my invention. An invention that would revolutionize everything. Well, in the end, I retired to Florida where I could swim every day. My children could come visit me. In a scarf and dark sunglasses, no one noticed me, so I did go to art galleries. I did not go to funerals. I did manage not to get bored. Boredom was always my greatest enemy. And then my husbands, you want to hear what happened to them? Yeah. Except Howard B. I don't talk about him. Fritz Mandl sold his munitions firm and moved to Argentina with the rest of the Nazis. He always wanted an arm piece, so he married some beauty down there, God help her. Jean Marquet kept writing. John Loder remarried in Peru. Teddy Stauffer always invited me to have cocoa. And Louis W. Boise stayed in love with me. Well, when Sylvania and the U.S. Navy finally revisited frequency hopping, the patent had expired, so I didn't see it done. Ah, c'est la vie, c'est la guerre. People ask me, Hedy, do you have regrets? And I tell them no. I learned from every experience I had. And you should not have regrets either, my darlings. Do what you love. The world will kick you in the teeth. Do it anyway. Well, in 1981, my invention was declassified. And slowly word has begun to leak out who is behind the internet. Satellites. And all those millions of satellites. Same one. Today, women can do anything. There are even female astronauts going to Mars. They'll be taking my invention with them. Perhaps they'll name a spaceship after me. And who knows, maybe I'm helping pave their way to the stars. And my Vienna, my beloved Vienna, sees me as a great inventor. So much so that my birthday is now called Inventor's Day. I love this song. You know it? It's called Tales of the Vienna Woods. Can you smell the Vienna woods? Ah, the beech trees, the pines, the sweet-smelling oaks. I do. Hello? Yes, hello, it's Hedy. Oh, no, darling. I'm not dead. I shall never die. Don't worry. Okay. Bye-bye. Choose. And darlings, this is goodbye to you too. Thank you so much for coming and listening to my story and giving me a chance to know you. Remember, please, whenever you use your cell phones to talk to each other, remember me, your Hedy Lamarr.